and welcome to the Scramble. I am UNLV-TV. Today we have two very important topics, maybe three if time allows. First, we're going to talk about the impact of the Boston Marathon bombings. It was a moment that shocked our nation, and it's called into question many things, from immigration reform to privacy rights. We'll also talk about an email from one of our viewers who responded to our discussion on gay marriage a few weeks back. We'll share with you parts of that email and the important reminder it is to all of us. I will start by welcoming my panel. I'm glad to have back with us Mark Ciavola. You are a senior in political science, and you're the president of CSUN.
I'm a junior, but that's okay. I'd like to be a senior.
You're getting close.
Getting there.
Wishful thinking. We also have Eric Leach. You are a sophomore in political science. And back with us is Heather Feyerberger. You are a senior.
I am.
There's just too many seniors. And you are majoring in news and media studies, minoring in criminal justice.
Right.
Busy girl. And back with us again is Cassidy Blue. You are a senior.
I graduate in December.
That counts. What's wrong with you, Mark? And you are also a news and media studies major.
Yes.
Broadcast journalism. Thank you all for being on the show. Welcome, welcome. Let's jump right into it. The Boston Marathon bombings stunned our nation. It wounded 260 people. It took the lives of 3 innocent human beings. In the aftermath of all the carnage, big questions are being raised about immigration reform, entitlement programs, and the rights of these terrorists. Let's start with the impact on immigration reform. Senator Paul Rand said that the process should not proceed at all until specific failures of our current immigration system are identified. Is this a legitimate reason? Are these bombings a legitimate reason to stall reform?
I don't believe so. I mean, when we talk about immigration reform in contemporary America, it's mainly directed at Mexico. That's where the reform's mainly going to address. So I think it's just to slow down the process. And sure, I mean, there are legitimate issues that you could bring up, but you can bring that up in debate. You can bring that up in the writing of any kind of legislation. I mean, there's no need to stop it in its tracks.
Well, that may be a point they'll be speaking to, that yes, we think about immigration reform as it pertains to Mexico mainly. But here we have U.S. citizens from Chechnya.
But they didn't cheat the system. They didn't cheat the system, and they came here by the book. I mean, I don't see how it's broken. I mean,
so there's not a current blind spot that we're missing.
We're not always going to block everyone that's going to be bad from coming in. I mean, there's going to be people that slip through the cracks. I mean, when we think of Eastern Europe, we're not thinking terrorists. I mean, truly, we're not. So I don't think that the system itself is broke. We just had people that end up getting radicalized. It happens.
I mean, I would have to agree with him. I mean, those are two immigrants, and if you want to take into consideration even their friends, that's 4 immigrants. But still, 4 immigrants out of the millions that are in this country. I mean, and let's not forget that 2 immigrants played an instrumental role in the capture of those 2 individuals. Danny, who he wants to be known as his American nickname, he was the Chinese man who got his Mercedes carjacked, and he ended up escaping and going to a gas station where Tarek Ahmed, a Muslim from Egypt, called the police. So both of those immigrants played a very big role in the capture of these men. And also the transfer, or the international student from China, she was killed in this. I mean, it's just, I think it's ridiculous to let these 2 or 4 people ruin immigration for the millions of others that are here and the millions that eventually want to come. And I want to know, when did the U.S. start excluding immigrants from dangerous places to coming to this country? I mean,
I think
because the senator also spoke to that, saying that these people are from hostile environments and from a dangerous place. But I mean, when did we start excluding those people?
Well, I think that they've probably started tightening down on those places here in the past decade a bit. But I mean, not that it's
but we're not excluding those individuals because they come from hostile countries.
And in fact, there's so many immigrants from those places that genuinely need political asylum, that genuinely have their lives in danger. And I get, go ahead, Eric.
Oh, I was just going to say, I feel like the attack is being politicized to halt further legislation. And I don't think there's any valid reason to completely halt it. Yeah, bring up your issues if you have issues with it, bring it to the American people. But at the end of the day, let it continue. I mean, there's no need to halt progress that comes about, once every decade almost.
So the Super 8 need to stay on track and keep pushing the reform. Mark and Heather, you guys are being quiet over here. Let's jump in.
I agree as well. I mean, it's one thing to maybe halt it very briefly just to pay your respects, but other than that, why delay it? And like Cassidy said, there was immigrants that helped in this situation as well, not just immigrants that harmed the situation.
Right.
And they were naturalized Americans anyways.
Right, and I do think that it got a lot of press, that the meeting that the president was supposed to have with some of the lawmakers was delayed truly because he was dealing with the bombings. Mark, where do you land on
Yeah,
this?
look, I mean, I'm from Boston. This whole thing, hits pretty close to home for me, and I managed an AT&T store at the finish line of the marathon, so I mean, I know the area very well. Immigration was broken before this. It's broken today. I don't think this necessarily has anything to do with immigration from the perspective that, we have a pretty large challenge to face regardless of this incident. And so rather than be reactionary for every little thing that occurs or big thing that occurs, we need to look at the system and do what's right as a whole always, regardless of, circumstances that may occur. I think that to Eric's point, I think everything gets politicized. If I tell you right now that, I have certain beliefs when it comes to immigration, those beliefs are going to get politicized and I'm a racist and a bigot. And even though I believe it's racist to insinuate that immigration is about Mexico, I don't think it is. I think we have just as many problems with people who should not still be in this country from Eastern Europe and from Asia. And so when you're looking at fixing our immigration system, I think it needs to be fixed from the ground up and from the top down before we start opening up the gates to more and more people legitimately who want to come here. I think we need to make sure that A, we can handle that, and B, what we have in place actually works.
I was going to say, though, isn't truly almost everyone an immigrant? My father was an immigrant. Had he not come here when he was a baby, I wouldn't be here, but I'm an American now.
Not everyone is an immigrant because when you're born in America, you're a citizen here. When you want to come to America from another country, we need to make sure that A, you can support yourself, right? If we're just going to open the floodgates to people who can't support themselves, then we might as well just send food and money and save them the airfare.
Does that count for children, too? What if my dad was a child immigrant?
Well, but that's a different story because the child isn't getting on a boat and coming here. The parents are bringing them, a friend is bringing them, something like that. And I think we need to look at this both compassionately and thoughtfully, but also from a perspective of what can our nation handle, which is why our immigration system needs to be fixed. Look, we have 1 million immigrants a year, or 2 million immigrants a year, I think it is, that come here legally, okay? I think we should increase that if the demand is there, and it is. But our system needs to be able to handle that. And we can't bring people into this country who have criminal or terroristic tendencies or criminal records or associations with known terror groups. But also, you want to make sure that the people that do come here have a job lined up, they have a place where they're going to live, and we're not just going to import
immigration reform discussion.
And we're not going to just import thousands of homeless people on welfare. And that is the point of the discussion.
So
but
to halt it because of this event
no, I don't think it should be halted.
is ridiculous.
That's not what I said.
No, I know that's not what you said.
I'm saying that it needs to be fixed regardless of the situation. Yeah. So yes, it should move.
Well, that's why they're talking about immigration reform, because they want to fix it.
But
you're about to say something. However, I'm actually going to interrupt you before I interrupt you. We have to take a short break. When we come back, I'm going to let Eric talk. Stay with us.
Think you found every hazard out here today? Think again. The spot you missed could be a killer. That spot on your skin could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills one person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
So many kids' activities today seem to leave out the activity part. New research tells us that just getting children to walk an extra 35 minutes a day could spare them the pain of thinning bones later in life. Encourage your kids to get up, get out, and get moving.
Hello. Hey, Grandma, how about another grape soda?
A public service message on building strong bones for kids from the Pediatric Orthopedic Society of North America and the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
We were very busy during the break. Eric, okay, we're talking about the impact that the Boston Marathon bombings have had, specifically right now as it pertains to immigration reform. And I was about to cut you off. Go ahead.
All I'm saying, I think the fundamental problem that this attack brings up is that we're having immigrants come to this country now that aren't assimilating into American culture. They're not. 60, 70 years ago, when people were coming over, they did everything they could to be as American as possible, to meld into our culture, to be one of us. No, but it's changed. They no longer assimilate. They try and recreate where they're coming from and bring it here. That's not assimilating. Why come here if you're just going to keep doing what you did back home? The whole point of immigrating to a country is because you believe their ideals, their way of life, the prosperity, you have a better chance of making it there. And I think Europe is a perfect example. We have whole groups, whole sections of immigrants that aren't assimilating into European culture, and it's causing riots. It's creating racism. That's what it's doing. I have friends that live in Europe, and they don't like the immigrants because they're not assimilating into European culture, and that's a problem.
Well, Eric's cultural insensitivity aside, and the Union of Eurabian States aside, I would like to mention that I think the bigger issue is that you have someone in this older brother, for example, who everyone seemed to know was radicalized but us. Right. And so if anything we can learn from this, it would be, how do we sort of create that awareness when somebody has become radicalized to try to stop some of the things that might happen as a result of that? I've had friends that have committed suicide, and everybody always says, gee, I wish I knew before they took their own life. Well, I wish I knew before this guy took 3 lives, or 4 lives if you count the police officer in Cambridge. And so, I think people need to be more aware of these things, because it is okay to have your own culture. It is okay to have your own native language. It is okay to move to America and be happy that you're in America, but still not like everything about America. That's okay. But it's not okay to be radicalized and bomb innocent people. And so there needs to be that awareness created.
Well, you would think
and
that
I
it may have been
it's wrong for people to report that type of behavior.
Well, the red flag to the CIA, to the FBI, he was on the terrorist watch list. I mean, I think that raises questions as well of how did this happen?
Yeah, but in this government, it's not a priority.
Oh, Mark.
It's not a priority in this government.
Okay, we'll leave that one alone. But let's talk a little bit about the rights of these terrorists. I mean, that's a topic that's been getting a lot of coverage as well, being politicized as well. The right to privacy and the right to remain silent specifically are the big ones. You're ready to...
He's an American citizen. I mean, regardless if he immigrated here and then naturalized or was born here, he's an American citizen. He has rights. And to say I understand why they put his Miranda rights on hold, for public safety and all, and I can totally get that. I mean, they were suspected of having other devices. There could have been. I mean, public safety was definitely
an issue.
In
fact, they were on their way to Times Square. So.
But after the public safety is gone, I mean, read him his Miranda rights, and yes, afford him the same rights as you would any other citizen, because he's a citizen, and this is America.
You can't have a mulligan on issuing citizenship. If you could, I'm sure we'd all like to have that one back. But the reality is he is a U.S. citizen. He is protected under the Constitution. Now, how do you treat, say, his brother who's not a citizen? And I say you shoot him full of holes and run him over with the car and leave him in the hospital, because the Constitution is extended to U.S. citizens. It is not extended to foreign terrorists, and that is exactly what he was. So there's no sympathy there whatsoever.
So the fact that the Zarnias family has reportedly received over $100,000 in public aid. Tamerlan received quite a bit of that.
Yeah, that'll probably stop now, though, right?
Oh, right.
Because he's dead. That's good.
Probably. But at first, the office of the governor, no one wanted to reveal. Oh, we are out of time again. Okay, when we come back, we're going to finish this topic up. And we're going to talk about an email from one of our viewers. So I hope you guys will stay with us. We'll get back on this topic in just 1 second. We'll be right back.
If you could see anything in the world, what would it be?
I'd love to see Paris. I like to see cupcakes falling from the sky.
My daughter, married and happy.
I want to see things the way I used to.
chances are someone you love may one day be affected by macular degeneration or glaucoma. Log on to seeabettertomorrow.org or call 1-800-437-2423 to learn about glaucoma and macular degeneration. Call 1-800-437-2423 or log on to seeabettertomorrow.org.
I just want to see more of the things I love.
I remember the moment.
I'll never forget that moment.
That moment?
It was a moment that changed my life. I'd been training with my team for months, and now we had been called up for the first time. The real deal. Wildfires were getting dangerously close to homes. At that moment, I got my first taste of just how important the Guard is to my community.
See how the Guard can be an important part of your life at NationalGuard.com.
Welcome back. We're going to have to wrap up the topic of the rights that these terrorists have. U.S. citizens, I think there's a consensus here that to take away any rights from U.S. citizens is going to be a slippery slope. So we'll leave that there. We'll continue to follow this one, but we will move on to our next topic. And first, I would like to say a big thank you to one of our viewers who took the time to write us a very thought-provoking email. It was written in response to our discussion a few weeks back in the Supreme Court hearings on gay marriage. Let's take a look at some of our comments during that show to better understand why our viewer was indeed compelled to write. All right, we are deep in discussion about the landmark Supreme Court hearings on gay marriage, DOMA, Proposition 8.
There's
only
going to be a
holdouts are
division.
the evangelicals, and that's about it. I mean, our generation, it's 80%.
Well, I think it's interesting. It's not
support
just the crazies that are against it. I think what a lot of people are saying, and to take religion out of it, a lot of people are saying that there is a difference. There is a difference between a married man and woman, and there's a difference between a same-sex couple.
Bigotry. Like, that's what it comes down to, because if it was actually about their beliefs, then they would realize that it strengthens the institution of marriage, not weakens it.
It becomes a fine line. You do have institutions of faith that they're not just because Eric says so, going to fall back on 2,000 years of their church teachings, their beliefs, and that goes for
They've done it in
many,
so many other aspects of their religion.
I would just like to rephrase my wording. Didn't mean everyone who does not support gay marriage is a bigot. I'm just saying the ones that are the loudest about it, like the president of the National Organization for Marriage. Those are the bigots. I mean, if you're on the fence and thinking about the issue and you're involving, I don't think you're a bigot.
It's tough to watch ourselves on TV, isn't it? Just saying. And to that point, our viewer took our energetic conversation and had some points to make, and I'll read a little bit from his or her email. I want to take the time to comment on your reference to evangelicals as crazies, as we just saw, and your dismissive comments about people's religious beliefs towards homosexuality and marriage. From a biblical standpoint, homosexuality has been a sin in the Old and New Testaments. The Apostle Paul warns us that those that continue in this activity cannot enter the kingdom of heaven. The Bible clearly states that the mate that is fit for a man is a woman. I do understand that we have the right to religious freedom or the freedom to have no religion at all. Our job as followers of Christ's teachings are to warn others of the judgment to come, as well as to teach the love of God. For those who hold the Bible in no esteem, I will argue that when the state sanctions activities such as gay marriage, it also validates it as something for the good of humanity. We are concerned for our nation. It is not judging or bigotry to warn someone of something that could cause them harm. I would like to share with you all, after the show, I had the chance to share with the panelists, but not our viewers, that personally I feel gay marriage has become one of those topics that you simply cannot disagree with. If I say that I do not agree with gay marriage, others are very quick to judge me as closed-minded or even bigoted. I find it odd that those that insist on tolerance have no tolerance for other opinions. People like the viewer who wrote to us are abiding by the tenets of their faith. They believe that homosexuality is immoral and they cannot approve of the behavior. We understand that. We also need to be reminded that it's important for us to respect all people and points of view, and yet there seems to be this new, pervasive, and increasingly accepted attitude that those who cannot approve of gay marriage do not deserve this basic respect. This, to me, is a sad and true display of intolerance. I think we need to acknowledge that there is a big difference between acceptance and approval. There will always be things not everyone can approve of. This viewer's email, I think, is a good reminder that communication can only be meaningful if we truly try to understand and respect, maybe even accept, positions other than our own. So, we're going to have to take a short break. When we come back, I would like to get your perspective. We've all read the email. It's kind of a tough topic to talk about. There's a lot of division we talked about on the show. But I think this is a great reminder that it's very important to not make blanket statements about people. So I think I've learned my lesson. So thank you to that viewer. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
She passed away about 6 months ago. Sure, yeah, they missed their mom. It was hard to learn that there was no cure. You know, you don't want to see somebody that you love suffer. So we sought hospice care. The hospice people made her feel comfortable and pain-free. At first, the girls didn't know what was going on. The girls knew that Mommy was sick, that Mommy wasn't feeling well, but they didn't know that Mommy was going to die. I don't always have the answers, the best answers to the questions that they're going to ask about what's going on, and often the hospice people would be there, and they helped. You know, they helped me and the girls through just an incredibly hard time.
At what age is the color that your skin was meant to be no longer beautiful? Every year, millions of young women try to change the skin they were born with and say they die for darker skin. Sadly, some actually do. Melanoma is the second most common cancer in teens and young adults, and one person dies from melanoma every hour. Change your thinking, not your skin. Stop tanning. Learn more at spotskincancer.org. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
During the break, this topic is just one of those that we were pretty busy during the break. We're talking, responding to a viewer email who took the time to write us about their views on our discussion on gay marriage. And Eric, I'd like to give you a chance to share your response.
I mean, I respect the viewer's opinion, and I believe everyone has the right to their own opinion. I just simply don't agree with it. I mean, for me, I can't see the Bible and religion being used in public policy decisions. It's not meant to be like that. You're not supposed to use religion to make public policy, especially something as personal as marriage. Now, I realize that marriage in the long run has been a religious institution. However, when you
So what business does the state have?
Well, the state brought marriage into the fold, so that they're bedfellows now. So I don't believe that a state or a government can deny someone the right to marriage. Churches don't have to perform it, but civil marriage should be legal. You know, what happens if we could make gay marriage completely illegal? And some churches already want to perform gay marriages. Are they now not allowed to?
I don't think it's those that want to. I think it's the danger of, you know, like Alex mentioned on the show last week, there are going to be churches that are forced into a corner. If something is legalized by the state, that is
there's always been carved out exceptions.
The Catholic Church doesn't allow women to be priests, and if that's not a double standard and misogyny and wrong in the eyes of our government, I mean, not equality, not providing women the equal stance to lead their church, I mean, I don't know what is, but they've been given the exception on that. But they've been given the exception on that.
Mark, I'd like to give you a chance.
Okay, because there's a lesbian couple in Canada who sued the Knights of Columbus because they found out that they were about to have a reception for a gay wedding. And they said, I'm sorry, we're a religious order, we don't do that, we'll refund your money, we'll help you print new invitations and pay for them. And the lesbian couple said no, and they sued. And the lesbian couple won. So please don't tell me that if gay marriage is legalized, that churches will not have to abide by the government's definition of legal or lose their tax-exempt status or deal with all kinds of charges of illegalities and discrimination and all of this.
We haven't had any problems in any of the states that have legalized gay marriage. This has never come up. This is a red herring to throw off the public. This is a red herring. This has never happened in any of the states that it's legalized.
This viewer has a right to their opinion. They also have a right to not be called crazy or bigots because their opinion differs from you. In your own comments, you said if you're on the fence or evolving on this issue, you are not a bigot. Well, on the fence or evolving means that they don't disagree with you. So if anyone who believes that people who disagree with them are bigots is a bigot.
No.
Thank you.
No.
Oh, now Heather, you've not had a chance to weigh in. I'm not sure.
No, I mean, I was on that panel that day, but I don't think, my opinions were as provoking enough for the email. But, I respect the viewers' comments as well.
I just think it's crazy to say that churches won't be given exceptions in some stances because
put it in
that
the
only happens in
legislation.
red
Canada?
herring.
Put it in the legislation, which Democrats in the state legislature here and elsewhere in the country have refused to do.
Every state that's
So put it
legalized
in the
has had
legislation.
the
I'm
exemptions,
very
and there has
sorry,
never
gentlemen.
been one issue with
We
any church being
have
forced to
take
recognize a
short
gay
break.
marriage.
We
That's
will
a
be
red
back
herring.
in just a second.
You're
Stay
a red
with us.
herring.
Think you found every hazard out here today? Think again. The spot you missed could be a killer. That spot on your skin could be skin cancer. Fact is, if you're a man over 50, you're in a group most likely to develop skin cancer, including melanoma, the kind that kills one person every hour. 1 in 5 Americans is likely to develop a form of skin cancer during their lifetime. That's why your best shot is to check for a spot. It's easy. Follow through and check your skin. It could be the save of a lifetime. Go to spotskincancer.org to find out how. A message from the American Academy of Dermatology.
So many kids' activities today seem to leave out the activity part. New research tells us that just getting children to walk an extra 35 minutes a day could spare them the pain of thinning bones later in life. Encourage your kids to get up, get out, and get moving.
Hello. Hey, Grandma, how about another grape soda?
A public service message on building strong bones for kids from the Pediatric Orthopedic Society of North America and the American Academy of Orthopedic Surgeons.
Welcome back. We have not stopped talking at all. This topic, as our viewer pointed out, this topic really is something that is just going to continue to be a conversation. And I think that it's very important that we do all remember to be respectful. And I'm talking to Eric and Mark right now of each other's opinions.
I respect all of his opinions. I laugh at them all.
They
but
loudly
I respect
respect each other's opinions. All right, so we are running out of time. You know what we think, sort of. Let us know what you think. You send us your ideas, your comments, your opinions to the scramble.unlv@gmail.com. You can also watch episodes of The Scramble from this season. Seasons past at UNLV-TV.edu. So for all of us here at The Scramble, thank you very much for joining us, and we hope to see you here next week.